If you gave yourself one piece of coding advice when you started, what would it be?
Definitely more than coding, it would be network. I was good at coding. I was good at figuring out things, but I wasn't really good at networking and trying to find those opportunities out there. So I would tell myself, go to meetups, talk to people, and learn what's out there for you.
Hello, welcome to the latest episode of How I Broke Into Tech, the Udacity podcast series. I'm your host, Jared Moulton. And in this episode, we chat with Francisco Gutierrez, who went from working at Denny's as a server to being a software engineer at Microsoft. Had a great time chatting with Francisco. Hope you enjoyed. All right. Hello, Francisco. Welcome to the Udacity How I Broke Into Tech podcast series. Really excited to have you here. We'll get started with the basics. Could you start by telling us your full name, where you work, your job title, and how long you've been there?
Sure. Thank you for inviting me, Jared, in the first place. And yeah, let me tell a little bit about me. My name is Francisco Gutierrez. I work for Microsoft, and my job title is software engineer.
Awesome. Before you were at Microsoft and before you got into software engineering, you grew up and you had different aspirations and visions of what life looked like. Can you tell us a little bit about what your childhood was like? And, when you were a kid, what did you envision yourself doing when you grew up?
Yeah, absolutely. I was born in Mexico. I grew up mostly playing soccer with my friends and playing video games with my siblings. I had a good childhood. It was fun. I don't think I had a set idea of what I wanted to do. I was just being a kid, enjoying life, playing video games, soccer. So it was pretty good.
All right. All right. Who's your soccer team?
My soccer team from Mexico, it's the University of Mexico City, UNAM. They're pretty good. Here in the US, I think I'm supporting the San Diego FC, which just came out. So, yep.
All right. Well, I think that we have a little rivalry then with the Seattle Sounders between Seattle and San Diego, but that's okay. Well, I'm sure we'll get over it.
Yeah.
When did you move to the U.S.?
I moved to the US when I was 15 years old.
Okay. What was it like arriving in the U.S. and getting acclimated, with being in the U.S. from Mexico?
Well, when I moved to the US, it was kind of like a short notice. It only took like a few weeks to move to the US. I wasn't sure I was moving, so I didn't know the language. I think the language barrier was kind of big at the beginning. All of a sudden you have to go to school. Not only you have to learn the class material, but you also have to learn the language at the same time. It did affect me a little bit on my first year of high school, which was my junior year of high school. But I think I did a lot better on my senior year.
How'd you learn English?
Just school, talking to people, teachers, mostly a school.
Okay. Good to hear. What were you doing before you started your journey into tech? So after high school, but before you got into the world of tech.
After high school, I did go to a community college. I took general ed classes. I got an associate's in liberal arts, and then I got an associate's in mathematics. And then I kind of I had to take a break from college, and I started working in different places, but I was working in the service industry as a waiter.
Okay.
And that's pretty much when I kind of discovered technology.
Where were you working as a waiter? What was that like?
Yeah, I was working at a Denny's restaurant, and it was good. It was actually it was fun. It was very fast paced. you have to talk a lot to people. So I did have a good time while working at the restaurant, I think.
You have any crazy stories about your time at Denny's? What was like the most wild order somebody placed? Anybody order like 100 pancakes?
It has happened. We one time had like people ordering like 100 plates to go, and then all of a sudden there's only 2 3 people to set everything up, and like that's a lot of work. uh Also, I remember like when all of a sudden, like, I don't know, a big group of people would come in and say like, hey, we got a, I don't know, a basketball game and we need a service, and we would be like, well, there's only 3 people right now, so like we'll try our best. But yeah, it was definitely fun.
That's awesome. Any celebrity sightings at the restaurant?
Celebrity sightings. I I'm from Mexico. I saw a boxer. His name is Canelo Alvarez once.
Oh,
I
cool.
don't know if you know him. He's a world champion right now. He lives in San Diego. So yeah, I think he was probably the only person I got to see, but it was very interesting.
Yeah, it's always fun, right? When you're in the restaurant business, you never know who's going to walk in the door. And so fun to have those experiences. How long were you at Denny's for?
I think my total time was a little bit over 13 years.
Wow. Okay. So lots of experience in the service industry. What motivated you to get into tech from there? What was kind of your journey? You're at the restaurant, you're working probably quite a bit. How did you kind of decide, you know what, I want to go in and do something different?
Mm, I think that when I had my MySpace profile, I would try to theme it, and you could import themes from other places and take the code, paste it into somewhere in the MySpace profile, and then all of a sudden it will theme it. I started looking into the code, and I noticed that if you change the word, I don't know, blue to red, the background of the page would change from blue to red. And I thought that was very interesting. I started learning about HTML, CSS online on my own. I eventually,
Francisco, you were just kind of playing around with MySpace's configuration settings. Is that what you're saying?
no. So MySpace used to, it was a feature actually.
Do you want to, before we get into that, maybe explain what MySpace is to all the kids out
Oh,
there?
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm a little bit older. So you are probably more familiar with Facebook. MySpace was the social network before Facebook. It was huge. It was pretty big. Everyone had a MySpace, and it was mostly music focused. But they had this feature where you could bring some CSS code from somewhere, just paste it inside. I think it was in the comments section. You would paste it. I don't exactly remember where, and then the MySpace would pick up the template with the CSS.
So you would essentially take the CSS code, customize it, plug it into the comments, and then your page would update based on whatever the change was.
You didn't have to customize it actually. It was already customized. All you had to do is copy paste.
Oh, wow.
Copy paste. But then I started looking at the code, which was minimized, and then I started noticing like these keywords like colors, and then if you change them, the page also changed, and uh, that's how I started to look into code.
So that was the discovery phase that you mentioned. And so discovery is happening through you playing around with MySpace and getting interested in it. How did you kind of take that to the next level? Or how long were you doing that for before you went and took it to the next level? And then how did you take it to the next level?
So I did that for a few months, maybe 2 3 months, to see if I liked it. After that, I joined my community college and got a certificate in web development. That was pretty fun. I was really hoping that would lead me to like a better life, a better job. Uh, I did learn a lot, and I ended up getting not a well, yes, a job with a designer, and I was helping him with some websites. It was more like freelancing. I also did a few websites here and there for taxi drivers that would go to the restaurant, and I kept on learning, building my own applications for things that I like. Like if I like soccer, I would have built like uh, an application for soccer managers or things like that. And I did that for uh, probably a few years. From I finished my certificate of web development in 2010, and I went into Udacity in 2018. So
Wow.
so it took me a while.
So from 2010 to 2018, were you still at the restaurant?
Yes.
Okay, so you're still at the restaurant, and then in the part-time, you're working on building websites for various clients and just kind of exploring web development on your own time. Is that right?
That's correct. I don't make a lot of money out of it. It's just it's more fun. It's about learning. It's about like just exploring what's out there. But yeah, I don't get to make a lot of money out of it.
Gotcha. How did you balance the website development while working at Denny's? Because I imagine that was a lot of work. Was it just that, you'd go home and that was your hobby? Or tell me a little bit about kind of how you balanced, multiple, work in one place.
Yeah, it was like my hobby. The same way a lot of people would go home and start playing video games or watch TV or something, I would start coding, and I was just doing it for fun. So it wasn't that uh, difficult in that aspect.
Gotcha. How did you take it to the next level? So you mentioned you were just kind of doing this part-time as a hobby until 2018. What motivated you to take it to the next level, and what did that look like?
Yeah, I think I get to a point where I get past my 30s. I'm 33, and then I'm thinking like I'm still at the restaurant. I gotta do something better. At the same time, I have all of this experience from coding, and that's really what I like to do. And I decided it's time to actually take it to the next level. My reasoning back then and what I thought I had to do was to go back to a 4-year university and get a bachelor's degree. So I'm going in the I'm in the process of joining an 4-year online university when I see this ad from Udacity for a scholarship. And then I fill in the form. And the funny thing is that the day I was supposed to join the university, sign up for my classes, I get the email from Udacity saying,
Oh, wow.
"Hey, you've been accepted for the scholarship." I'm at work. I'm at the restaurant, and then I see the email, and I'm like, I only have a few hours to make this decision, because I had to talk to someone from the university to set up the classes. So I talked to people there. I think about it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going with Udacity. One is it's on a scholarship, so it's fully paid for, and two, it's gonna take a lot less time than going back to a 4-year university and getting a bachelor's degree in computer science.
Do you remember what nanodegree you started with Udacity?
Yes, it was the web specialist, mobile web specialist nano degree, and the scholarship was Grow with Google. Yes.
Awesome. And how did the Udacity experience, help you? What was it like? Tell us a little bit about, now you get into the Udacity scholarship, you get the scholarship for the Udacity program. Okay, now you're off to the races. What was that experience like? And how did that translate into kind of finding your first job in tech?
Definitely. I think that Udacity had what I was missing. Uh, First, the first part of the nano degree was actually a challenge. So 10,000 people got the challenge for the scholarship. And only 1,000 people were going to end up with the final scholarship. So that was very challenging. That was very motivating too. So I finished the challenge. I get into the 1,000 students that make it to to get the scholarship. There we start learning about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, a lot of things that I already knew, but at the same time, I was able to update my skills. I realized that some of my skills were still outdated and dated back to 2010, 2011, and tech moves really fast. So I'm able to update my skills, and then I'm able to gain more skills that eventually, and up to this moment, I still use at work. So coding wise, I get to learn all these new skills. At the same time, we're going through the program, and we are all connected. All the students in the nano degree are connected, and we are all sharing our stories and what everyone is doing. So that part is something that I have not done before, which is networking. I met people, and they start telling me about like how they're trying to break into tech too, and what they're doing. And those are things that I had not done. For example, someone told me about opportunities at Adobe for people with non-traditional background. There are opportunities at AT&T, LinkedIn, Microsoft, so many companies that have this program. So that's where I learned about this. And then I go into the last part was the career services, and that was very helpful. We updated our resumes. We worked on polishing our cover letters. We learned about like all the opportunities, and not only that, but I think Udacity had a partnership with AT&T, and I signed up for a internship with them. I didn't fully get the job because it was taking a long time, and I got into Microsoft before that. Thanks to Udacity, I was able to connect with a recruiter from AT&T.
Awesome. So you did the Udacity Nanodegree and then corresponding program with career services connected you with a recruiter. You had the conversation started with AT&T. Sounds like in parallel, you were also talking to Microsoft. What was that process like? What were the Udacity skills that you think really helped you, finalize, your job with Microsoft and get started there? And it sounds like you've been there ever since.
Yeah, well, before I joined Microsoft, I had another internship. AT&T, I really wanted to join AT&T, but they were taking way too long. Like,
okay.
The recruiter would take like 1 month to reply. So it was moving extremely slow. Before that, I got an internship in San Diego as a web developer. I polished a little bit my skills there. I used HTML, CSS, and then I had to learn new skills like C#. And then I applied for the Microsoft Leap program, which is an apprenticeship program for people with a diverse background. The first time I got rejected, but I reapplied. The second time I got accepted. And I then moved to Washington, and there I get to meet a lot of people that come from all over the country. It's really fun. Then I joined my team, and I end up using a lot of the same skills I learned at Udacity. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, I already kind of knew that, but I was using it. But some specific concepts that I had only learned in Udacity became useful. For example, we work with IndexedDB on the browser. We worked with service workers. First time I had ever worked with service workers, and that ended up being useful at work. And another thing that was very useful that I learned in Udacity was accessibility, keeping our product accessible. And thanks to that, now I own the accessibility aspect of the product that I work on right now.
Oh, cool. Awesome. And can you remind all of us what the product that you're working on is?
OneDrive.
Big product right there. So, from Denny's to engineer at Microsoft OneDrive is no small feat. I want to probe a little bit more on the second application. Oftentimes I think people would apply to something, and if they were rejected the first time, they may not apply again. So what was it that drove you to say, you know what, I'm going to give this another shot?
Definitely. One of the things is that the program especially indicated that you could apply again as many times as you wanted. So that was very useful. And just keep trying, I just wanted to keep trying. And like, if they say no, so what? It's like, I can try again and like try another place or something different. But I did not just try again. I did try to identify what I had done, at least what I thought I had done wrong, and I could improve on. So I updated my resume. I updated a few things here and there. And then I think that really helped the second time.
How were you able to identify the gap areas? Did you have somebody you worked with to do that, or was it your own self-assessment?
I think it was my own self-assessment. I had more time to go back and review and identify the parts that probably didn't really help or I could omit and instead include something else that would be better. I kept going to the career services from Udacity for advice on how to write your resume and things like that, and kept changing little things here and there.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. So you got the job at Microsoft. What happened next?
Well, I don't get the job right away. This is an apprenticeship. So I go into the team. They tell me, we all know that there is no job warranted. It's just an apprenticeship. You might get a job, but you don't know. So once I'm in the program, I'm able to network. I have access to hiring managers. I have access to all of this network that I didn't have before, which is very useful. And then I get a project with my team, and at the end they like me. They somehow find a headcount for me. Initially there was no one, and yeah, I get the job.
So you accepted a full-time job. You went from San Diego, you had to move, right?
Correct.
What was that like?
It wasn't easy. I'm not sure if people have been in Washington, but it rains a lot. So it was definitely a different weather. I remember getting here and saying like, "Oh, this is too cold," and there were people there saying, "Were like, we moved to Washington because the weather is better." And I was like, "Well, where do you come from?" And they're like, "The Midwest." I'm like, "Oh, okay." But yeah, but the weather was different. It was my family stays in San Diego, so I'm here by myself, and I'm fully focused on like my job and growing and just enjoying the moment. What used to be my hobby, it's my job.
Amazing. What were some key aha moments during your learning journey when things really started to click for you?
Well, coding wise, I think when I started playing with Myspace profiles, I think that's when I discovered that I like web development. Career wise was when I was in the Udacity Nanodegree, and I learned about all of these opportunities out there that I didn't know before for people with non-traditional backgrounds, such as apprenticeships and internships.
I love it. What advice would you give to people in the service industry who want to transition to tech but don't have a traditional background?
It is definitely doable. Tech compared to other careers is more suitable for people with non-traditional background. So I would probably tell people that maybe they should start playing around with tech, see what they like, uh, go to meetups, talk to people, ask them what they do, and if they can provide you with some tips on what to learn. There's a lot of resources out there, so just start playing around with code. It's there's a lot of resources, and see if you like it. Once you like it, try to identify the path that is going to take you to where you want to be. If you want to do it just for fun, that's fine. Just keep learning and have fun. But if you want to break into tech, find a curriculum, a path, a program, something that is eventually going to take you to where you want to be.
Francisco, it sounds like your interest in tech came from you just enjoying playing with code. So what did you like about it? What was it? What was kind of that factor that you were, hey, this is really cool. I really like this.
I think it's like, to me, it's like a video game. It's like trying to complete in different levels, trying to build something and say, hey, I don't like this anymore. And then you can build something new, and then you can change the color, and you can change the behavior, and just like having ideas in your mind and being able to write, like express those ideas with code.
That's fun. Yeah, I totally see that. I think that there's a lot of overlap there with, any type of creative, profession, whether it's a writer or, a filmmaker, you're creating something new, just using your imagination and the tools in front of you. So I think that's pretty neat. This is a fun question. What skills from your years in the service industry have proven valuable in your tech career?
Definitely. I would say communication and coordination. When you work in the service industry, you have to communicate with the cooks or management, the host. You especially have to communicate with the customers, understand what they want, what they need. And in tech, it's not just about coding, it's about communicating and coordinating with other people. You have to talk to designers, make sure you understand the details on the design. You have to communicate with other engineers and ask them questions about their code, or you have to explain your own code. You have to communicate with project managers and being able to update them on the timelines, and also specify if you have any blockers. So I think communication and coordination is something that I brought from my time in the service industry, now that I'm in tech.
I like it. I'll add another one just because I also have some experience in the service industry, which is holding steady and calm under pressure. There are those moments, if I'm sure you remember at the restaurant, where you're completely underwater and you just gotta hold the course, deal with one table at a time, one request at a time, and just make your way through it.
Yeah, I didn't know you had been in the service industry, but yeah, you detailed it really well. And also in the service industry, I would add that you have to take fast decisions.
I like that. Yeah, you're not waiting. You have to make a decision with what data you have available to you.
Correct.
You're at Microsoft, been there a couple of years. Without obviously disclosing anything that's confidential, what kind of projects are you working on that excite you?
I work on the front end of the product, on the client. So we are always working on updating the UX, bringing new features. We also work on making sure the application is performant, trying to load the code faster. Yeah, I'm not sure I can talk about the features I'm currently working on, but definitely I think the most exciting feature that I work on, and it was because it was the first feature that got released and actually felt really rewarding, was adding the OneDrive admin settings into the SharePoint admin center. This was about 5 years ago. And seeing it was something basic, just like a panel that opens up and people are able to change a few settings on and off here and there. But the feeling that people all over the world were using it, and like it was making a good impact for someone, making they were saving time because of this. It was a great experience.
I love that. The impact piece is so real, and I think that's what a lot of us get motivation from in tech. Certainly speaking for myself, it was one of the reasons I really wanted to work in tech. Was outside of tech, I before this, I was a professional magician, and you could impact people, a small group of people, and make them happy, in these small groups at a time. And now, in the world of tech, you can do that at scale with millions of people around the world, and bring them magic in a real way. So I think that's pretty cool. What skills does Microsoft prioritize and look for in new candidates that are interested in roles there?
More than the skills, I would say Microsoft prioritizes having a growth mindset. If you can bring a potential to learn something new, and you have an open mind, I think you should be fine at Microsoft, and you should be a good candidate.
Let's go back in time. If you gave yourself one piece of coding advice when you started, what would it be?
Definitely more than coding, it would be network. I was good at coding. I was good at figuring out things, but I wasn't really good at networking and trying to find those opportunities out there. So I would tell myself, go to meetups, talk to people, and learn what's out there for you.
Do you find you're still pretty active as a networker?
Not so much. I think that was one of my not so good skills. But
something to continue to work on. I think that for me too, it's hard, to find time, especially when you're like, hey, I have all these things going on in my life. And so, still want to expand and meet other people and get those new experiences. What technology from today would have seemed like magic when you first started to learn how to code?
When I started to code, I was using my computer, a browser, and Notepad, the Notepad text editor. So extremely basic. No, with Visual Studio Code and GitHub Copilot, that's magic. I mean, you have GitHub Copilot that can write code for you, can find bugs, can even write some unit tests. So I think GitHub Copilot will be like magic.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, AI generally is pretty magical, right? And GitHub Copilot's doing a lot of that. What tech skills do you wish you had learned earlier in your career journey?
What tech skills? React would be something I wish I would have gotten my hands into earlier, because it's been very useful at work.
Okay, I like it. What do you find that you've used like React, or what other kind of front end web development languages have you been using?
Well, libraries, I used Angular years ago, but I don't use it anymore. Another library I use is Preact, which is a light version of React. But languages, I use PHP. That was one of the first languages I started learning. I've used C# for the backend, but I mostly work with TypeScript.
Okay. Gotcha. I think that covers most of the questions that we have here. We're going to jump into our rapid fire section of the conversation, where I'll give you a couple, these will be quick responses, and we'll take it from there. So I think I know the answer to this one just based on our conversation, but I'll do it anyway. Front end or back end?
Front end.
Coding in silence or coding with a killer playlist?
Coding in silence.
Night owl or early bird?
Early bird now.
Okay. Tabs or spaces?
Tabs.
Favorite snack for deep work?
Snack. I drink a lot of water. Does that count?
Sure, we'll take it. Water. I like it. Dark mode or light mode?
Oh, dark mode, definitely.
Coffee or energy drinks to power through a tough day?
Coffee.
Yeah, me too. First app you open every morning?
First app I open every morning, probably Outlook.
Okay. I was going to say not including your clock app, so Outlook's a good answer.
Okay.
What is your most used large language model, LLM?
LLM. I don't rely a lot of it, but I think it's ChatGPT.
Okay, yeah. Vibe coding, are you into it or no?
I heard the term vibe coding for the first time last Saturday, I believe. I wasn't aware, but based on what I heard, what vibe coding was, I think I'm into it. I mean, I use AI to code now, and I just hope to get better at it.
Yeah, no, it completely adds a multiple to your ability to put output, right? So I agree. It's pretty cool. All right, last question for you. For someone listening who dreams of breaking into tech but feels stuck, what's your advice?
If you want to break into tech and you feel stuck, I would probably say try to identify what part of the process has you blocked. If it's that you're not getting the concepts, maybe change the way you are learning. If you are going through tutorials, maybe try a book or try a boot camp or a different career path. If you're not landing interviews, try to work on your resume. Try to update your portfolio. If you're not passing the interviews, try to work more with data structures and algorithms that can help you through the interviews. So I would probably say try to identify where you're blocked and try to find a path to get to where you want to get.
It's a great answer. I like that a lot. So identify the bottleneck in your process and focus on unblocking yourself there. Super. Francisco, it was so much fun to chat with you today. Really appreciate your time. Congratulations on all of your success. And yeah, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you very much.